The book that I've wrote is part one of the first 23 years, near a quarter of a century, supporting Burnley from 1964 to 1987. The second part comes out at the start of next season, 2010. It's been in the writing for 10 years. I managed to get a publisher backing me for the first time this year, which coincided with promotion to the Premier League, so it was a great start to it. And it details the reason I started supporting Burnley in 1964 by pure coincidence, until I eventually fell in love with the football club. And so it's a bloke from Stoke that supports a club from afar. And it details all the trials and tribulations of getting to games, employment problems, financial, emotional, physical deprivation, sleep deprivation, all sorts of obstacles that have to be overcome from somebody that supports a club 75 miles away. There's a lot that make me laugh because at the time people would think they're absolutely ludicrous, but there's occasions when a night match at Orient, I left my bicycle at Stoke railway station ready to cycle the 10 miles home, then go on to work after getting in at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd lost to Orient, we got thrashed, and I went back to the station and thieves had nicked virtually everything but the wheels. The saddle had gone, they'd taken the brakes off, the actual light holders. I'd taken the lights with me, so I still had them, but the light holders and everything else. And I told the transport police, who was operative at the time, and they had a sort of very laid-back attitude that there's no chance of actually catching the culprits, and they advised me to get a taxi, which I couldn't afford. And they said, you might as well pick the bike up in the morning. Well, I've neither got a car or any facility to pick my bike up. So I had two wheels and I had two lights. So I actually put the front light through my belt, so it was on my stomach, and the back light attached to the belt at the back. And there's no saddle, so there's just a spike sticking up, the actual round spike. And so I had to cycle 10 miles standing up, which was all going well. Until I got to what was called Keel Bank, which is like a 1 in 5 gradient downhill. And so I'm standing up, and there's no way of stopping the bike, because if I lower myself, I'm going to get impaled on the spike. And so there's absolutely no way. The only way you can do it is to actually gradually slow yourself down. And so this is 2 o'clock in the morning, and I hear a car behind me, wondering what's going on. And next minute, a blue light's flashing, and it's overtaking me. I can't stop because I'm on this steep downhill gradient, so I just try and flash my lights as if to say I can't stop, standing up, and off I go. So I've overtaken the police car. The second time he overtakes me, and police stoplights up in the back of the car. I'm still on the gradient and can't stop, so I'm just waving to say can't stop, and I'm going down the bank. The third time the police are pointing, everything's going except the siren, and they make a roadblock across the road 500 yards ahead where it levels out. So I managed to stop slowly, and the policeman comes over to me and he said, what have we got here then? And I said, not a lot, because I hadn't had two wheels, two lights. And he said, we could throw the absolute book at you, you know, because you've broken all the bylaws for riding a bicycle and everything else. And he says, but it looks like you've had enough bad luck for one night, so we'll let it go as long as you don't ride it home. I had 3 miles to go, but then he winked at me, which for me was the okay to ride it home, so I did. Well, that was just one funny occasion, and there's others when I was dressed as an Arab sheikh for a Boxing Day game at Carlisle, and the London supporters were due to pick me up at Kiel Services on the M6 at 10 a.m, which would have given us plenty of time to get to Carlisle. But I got at 11 o'clock, they still hadn't turned up. There was no mobile phones, there was no communication. They're in transit, and that was one of the closest I've ever come to missing the game. And the chef came across from the kitchens to say, are you Dave Burnley? I said yes. He said, your friends have had an accident on the M1, nobody's hurt, but you've got to make your own way to Carlisle. Now I'm in a sheikh's outfit with claret and blue headband, sunglasses, the lot, and I've got no change of clothes because I thought it was assured of a lift, and it's designated fancy dress day, and so I've got to get to Carlisle. So I'm like a manic Yasser Arafat up the slip road trying to hitch a lift, and of course everybody's giving me a wide swerve until I decide to take me sunglasses off. and then after about 20 minutes a car passes me and then actually reverses back slowly, puts the window down a couple of inches and said, "Where are you going to?" And I says, "Anywhere up the M6," in desperation. He says, "Well, I'm going to Preston." I says, "That'd be great." He said, "You know, that's a start. By this time it's 11:30. That'd be great." And he says, "Well, you can come in if you behave yourself." Obviously thinking I was from the funny farm and an escapee. So he let me in, and it was a bit, the conversation was a bit disjointed why I'm dressed as an Arab sheikh, but eventually accepts it. I gets to Preston and it's still, it's gone 1 o'clock. It's probably 1:15, and I think I've missed my first match in, that'll be the first match in 6 years since 1974. And so I'm not resigning myself to it, but there's no way of getting there. I can't even hire a helicopter or anything. And then at something like 1:20, a furniture wagon comes screeching to a halt, and it's Burnley supporters in the front. And even though they were so late, I'm asking, you know, why are you so late? And they said, "We were at a party last night at Jack's at Accrington, and it's made us late. We had to wake everybody up." I said, "Where is everybody?" And they said they're in the back. So I pulled the shutter up, and it's full of 20 Burnley fans dressed as gorillas, chickens, clowns, cowboys. And that took me to Carlisle for 20-3, and I still managed a pint in Carlisle. We went 3-0 down at half-time, and I thought to myself, what have I done to deserve this? You know, all this effort, and we're 3-0 down. It eventually ended up 3-2, but I got to the match. But that was a close call.